Hi and welcome to HappyKittyKitchen. Today's recipe is Ube cookies with white chocolate chips and an Ube cream topping. They're rich in flavor and texture and they look like they're from outer space, which makes it more fun to make. Detailed ingredients will be in the description box and at the end of the video for you to screen capture and save. For all cookie making, I start with two separate bowls. One bowl is to mix the butter, sugar, and eggs in, and the other bowl for the dry ingredients. There are several reasons for this, and I will explain along the way. The sugar granules have sharp edges, and they cut into the butter and cream it and sort of whip it, incorporating air into the mixture and making it fluffier. It does the same thing to the eggs. This makes the cookie dough fluffier, and doing this means that you won't get crunchy bits of sugar in your cookie when you take a bite. And that's why I always like to say that butter and sugar and eggs are friends. Now, if you mix it or blend too fast, the butter could split or separate from the other ingredients and look like this. Don't panic, because the easiest remedy is to add in a bit of the flour that you measured out and we're going to use in the recipe. It will immediately re-emulsify and make a smooth batter. I like to prepare my dry ingredients beforehand because it's easier for me to work when everything is measured out, and in this mix I have put in baking soda, baking powder, all-purpose flour, pinch of salt, coconut shreds, and I like to sift the dry mix before going further. It helps the flour to declump and makes a soft texture in the end result. It's not a necessary step, but I just prefer to do it this way because sometimes the baking soda or baking powder are clumped together and need to be sifted so that they are distributed equally in the batter. For ube extracts, I use this powder. It's available in most international food aisles and supermarkets in my region, but if you couldn't find it, you could always try ordering it online. It should also be available in Asian stores or Filipino supermarkets. Please be aware that if you use a liquid ube extract, it might have a different strength or intensity to the flavor and also color effect. So add it in a bit at a time and taste it on its own so you get a good idea of how potent and strong it is. I'm adding in a splash of vanilla extract, and then I'll slowly start adding in the flour to the wet batter and mixing because it's easier that way for me. Then I add in the desired amount of white chocolate cubes or chips to the batter and mix again. The batter needs to chill in the fridge for a minimum of 6 hours or in the freezer for a minimum of 2 hours. Giving cookie batter time to chill really affects the texture and shape of the cookies after being baked. It keeps them from oozing out and becoming too flat too fast, and they retain the structure much better when they are chilled. In a new bowl, I'm going to start on the ube cream, adding in about 2.5 teaspoons of the ube extract powder and a sachet of Dream Whip whipping cream powder, and adding in half a cup of milk or the required amount of milk that's instructed on the whipped cream packet. On the side, I have an unflavored gelatin powder. This helps the cream to keep its structure and integrity because, as you know, whipped cream melts when it's not refrigerated. So this won't affect the flavor, it will just help solidify the whipped cream even when it's at room temperature. If, like me, you added in a bit more milk to the whipping cream and it's not whipping as needed, don't worry, pop it in the fridge and you'll try again later. Also, it's not that big of a deal because you will be adding gelatin powder to it to help give it some structure. In a small bowl, I'm adding in half a teaspoon of gelatin powder, but next time I would definitely recommend making it a whole heaped teaspoon instead. Then I'm adding in hot water on it, just enough to dissolve it, not too much. I can't add that gelatin liquid to the cream mix just yet because it's too hot and it will affect the temperature. So I'm gonna wait until it cools down and then I will add it and blend it until I feel there is some thickening happening. And then I'll just put it in the fridge, back in the fridge to set. While the cream is cooling down, I take my batter out of the freezer and start shaping and putting them in sheets. I don't have a particular way and I don't measure for this. I just use a tablespoon to scoop the batter, then give it a quick shaping with my hand and toss them on the pan. Now, I usually add macadamia nuts to these cookies, but I was all out. However, I did have some almond slivers and thought, why not? Let me add them to the batter and see how that works out. It's good, but it's not as good as the macadamias because macadamias are the best, but it goes very well with the cookie and it adds a crunch, and it's definitely more of an affordable replacement. I pop those into a preheated oven at 175 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 350 Fahrenheit, and leave them to bake for 10 to 15 minutes. Halfway through, I do rotate the pans because my oven, like many ovens, doesn't distribute heat evenly and has hot spots. I keep an eye on them, and when the center isn't wiggly and looks to have firmed up just a bit, I'm going to take them out and keep them in the pan to continue baking and slowly cooling down. Do not try to move them, they will fall apart at this point. I am just going to make thumbprint craters in most of them though, because that is where I will be adding the cream later on. While the cookies are cooling down, I take the cream out of the fridge and you can see it is set. I gave it a quick blend, which was unnecessary, but then I put it into the sandwich bag that I will use as a piping bag to top the cookies. Wait for the cookies to cool down. Do not put this mix on a hot cookie or it will start oozing. I had to learn the hard way because obviously heat destabilizes the gelatin and the cream in the mixture. You can definitely use a professional piping bag and tip to make the dollops look extra fancy, but I know that these will be devoured in minutes, so I didn't have time to be extra. I just had to be efficient. Since I never added any icing sugar to the Ube cream, it turned out to be an excellent pairing with the cookie without being overwhelmingly sweet, and it let the ube flavor take the spotlight instead. If you've never had ube, it tastes sweet, nutty, and like a caramelized sweet potato with a hint of vanilla. It's awesome. I love this combination so much, and it tastes and feels like a delicacy. I crave it more than I crave chocolate chip cookies. It pairs wonderfully with a cup of coffee, taking a bite in between sips and savoring all those subtle but somehow unsubtle flavors. I just love them. Well, if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching and have a great day from Happy Kitty Kitchen. Bye!